Welcome everyone, it's Vaporsmith Rakomar. Now it's time for some more League of Legends. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the real truth behind winning. Now, you may say, why is this important? Well, I need to impress upon you this grim fact that you will not win all of your games. Not only that, but you will have to learn how to withstand a lot of really nasty losses before you get decent wins. And you're going to have to work very hard at it. And not only are there nasty losses, there's also equally nasty toxicity that comes with it, because you have to try to manage it, because there will be a lot of people that will cause a lot of havoc for you for losing like this. But you will make mistakes, it will happen, this kind of stuff will happen. So anyway, starting off this particular match, I'm going to be farming with Teemo. It starts off like all the other matches, but it changes over time, as you will see. And it's not usually how a match starts that determines how it goes off. It works out. It's also what the match becomes. So that's another very important thing about this match, is it's also about what happens, how this match what happens over time. So Teemo gets caught in the middle of them, he dies, and Tryndamere dies soon after to Urgot, because apparently Tryndamere decided to overextend. And as you can see, my teammates are already not doing good. Now, will this happen every game? No. Does this happen a fair amount sometimes? Sometimes you will have bad teammates in streaks. So you have to try to mentally prepare and adjust yourself to the situation. A lot of this game is changing what you're doing, your play style. Even if you're having a lot of bad matches. See, I'm doing some fundamental mistakes though here. Like, I'm tanking up those minions now that I see it. But the thing you gotta know about this game is there are two sides to it, and you have to try to work on being on the winning side. But there will always be matches where the enemy team has such a clear advantage that you can't seem to get anywhere. This is particularly true in Nexus Blitz, because of the snowball nature of the mode. I mean, you can try to think, you can try to always avoid making mistakes, but in the end, there will always be mistakes. There will always be times when you play badly. So you have to try to work around that. That's the truth. And sometimes you will just lose over and over again. And it can be very demoralizing. But you have to try to adapt and win more. That's the brutal truth about winning. I have lost more games than I have won. I have won 1,000 games, but I have lost more than 1,000 games. So that's something you need to keep in mind. And I will be showing more examples of losing, and not just kind of sort of losing, but losing a lot. See, I made the mistake of getting hit by that snare, and I got the shutdown on the Lux. Unfortunately, the shutdown of the Lux was the bright part of this match. Yeah. Anyway, so Trinamir managed to get a kill on Volibear, and unfortunately Katarina gets one decent ultimate off, and that really screws everyone over. I should have moved a good distance away instead of just trying to do damage to the Katarina on second thought, but as you can see, this match is not going well. And it's about to get worse. But you will get these matches. I implore upon you. You will get them. And I need to show more of them to try to show you that I, too, have been experiencing... I have had matches where I made a lot of mistakes, where I played badly, where my team has played badly. I mean, I want to try to reduce them as much as possible, but they're always there. They're always there. You can never eliminate them. You can reduce them. You can try to, mentally work in that they're there, and then just go to them and think about what you're going to do the next match. But they're there. Even if you play like Katarina or Lux, you will have times where you will get destroyed on them, even if you do well on them. There's always a time when you're going to do well on these champions, and there will be a time where you get destroyed. A lot of people will try to deny this. They will try to deny this. And I was one of them, okay? I am guilty of that crime, but I'm trying to repent for my crime of not admitting these losses. And I stepped too far forward there, so obviously it's a huge mistake. And Quinn gets the shutout on the Katarina. I have been playing Extraction, the Odyssey mode. That mode is so intense, sometimes it hurts my hands to an extent, like my wrists and stuff. Again, because it's very intense. It's a very intense mode, especially if it's anything past cadet difficulty. I find it particularly intense. What else am I going to be talking about? I have done a lot of... I have been grinding a lot of this game. I will be showing more content soon. Veigar is a weird champion. I am going to talk more about it. You can do really well in Snowball, as I'm sure you've seen many times, or you can get behind and have a lot of trouble. Brand has a similar problem. Brand has a similar problem where you can do well, get fed, or you can get behind and hardly do any damage, depending on your mistakes and your decision making. Obviously, my decision making in this match is very poor. I do change it around later, and I do manage to find a lead. It's not just about decision making in terms of just dying. It's also decision making as finding your picks. Finding the picks that you want to find. This is the Flaming Circle event. This event is obviously not in our favor. Here I try to do some damage. I try to zone use, and I try to get my ulti off. Unfortunately, my ulti and my damage is not very high at the moment. So they can tank up that damage without a problem. Yeah. That's one of the problems of facing Volibear, especially when he's ahead. He becomes pretty much impervious to damage. Here I try to run out to defend. Unfortunately, that is a huge mistake. I try to get some damage on them. Because I try to help, but the problem with helping as a Veigar when you're behind, see, this is one of the problems of playing Veigar that you gotta see, is if you get behind on Veigar, if you've made a lot of bad decisions and stuff, it can be very difficult to do any meaningful damage and actually be any kind of a meaningful threat. So that's one of the biggest problems of playing Veigar that I haven't shown that makes getting a consistent win rate on him difficult. Because once you are truly behind, once like either your teammates or yourself, mostly it's just yourself, honestly. Mostly if you've made a lot of mistakes in a match and you haven't found your lead or whatever, there's a very good likelihood you're not going to do a lot of damage. And they can just steamroller you before you reach late game. The thing about Veigar is, yes, Veigar has a late game. However, there are a good number of team comps that are constructed specifically to end the game quickly. Katarina, as you can see here, is one of them. Talon is another one. Lux is somewhat like that and somewhat not. She's kind of a mid-game mage, but like there's a good number of team comps and strategies. Even Lux does want to end the game early. Why does Lux want to end the game early? So that mages like Veigar cannot outscale her and delete her over and over again. Because it is possible for Veigar to actually get an extreme advantage on Lux, and then Lux can't get back into the game, and the syndrome that would have happened to the Veigar if the Veigar got behind happens to the Lux. So there's that too. So this is the stuff that can happen in this game. Here I try to do some damage to some people. It's not effective. I cannot face the Katarina because the Katarina just is right now is way too ahead. I barely do any damage. Like matches like this happen, all right? I've been denying my matches filled with mistakes and my problems. It's time that I stopped denying these things. And I made a mistake. I should have just dodged to the left or right, but I see it's a symphony of problems. Now, the weird thing about the symphony of problems is it doesn't last. That's another thing you need to know. Even if these matches happen to you, okay, you can bet more good matches than bad matches. You can get a good win rate, and you can climb even if these matches happen, which they will. They will, and I made a really big error trying to do some damage to them before they did anything. Yeah, I see that's the most poignant part of trying to defend. There's a lot of mistakes I made this game, but like that one was completely it was completely unnecessary for me to try to defend there. So then we move on to the next game. Yes, you heard that right. I move on to the next game. So, the next game, I decide to play Veigar again. See, did you see how much courage, though, it took for me to do Veigar again just after that match happened? I mean, you can imagine the feeling. Because when you get behind on Veigar, it's very discouraging because you can't really do a lot. You can try to land some stuff, but you don't do any damage that could actually kill them. It can happen that way. So I'm playing Veigar and Nexus Blitz again, and I've decided this time that I'm going to change what I'm doing. And I'm going to try to see if I can play better and find the advantages that I need to win. This is the very next game. Now, the worst part about that loss you just witnessed is that's just a shadow. That is just a shadow of how many losses you may have to endure to do well. That is just a shadow of what can happen to you. You could have this happen over and over again to you as many times as you've watched me win. So always remember that as a possibility. So we get some good harass and some Q poke on them. So we get more of an early advantage here. Aatrox gets some decent combos. He flashes. So my teammates are taking a bit more initiative. Our comp has a bit more initiative. So we're going to be trying to farm here as per usual. You can already see some decent knowledge and trades going on here. But like I said, it's not how the match starts. It's the continuous decision making and the thought process. Also, in this match, instead of taking domination second, I go inspiration and go biscuit delivery and time warp tonic. Now the reason I do this is to give Veigar a lot of health and sustain in lane. The reason that I'm going for health and sustain in lane, the reason for it, is that Veigar's lane phase is not strong. Alright, here I managed to get a combo off and ignite, and I managed to kill off the Karthus. So I'm going to continue to try to farm here, but I get a good pick. See, a lot of Veigar in the early game is getting farm, but also getting being very mentally aware of any pick opportunities. Because getting picks in the early game, especially on a late game champion like Veigar, is huge. If you know you can get a pick, don't hesitate to go for it as Veigar or any late game champion. Don't hesitate. If you know for sure that you've got a potential kill and you know you can secure it, then go for it. Because then you can use that to get a lead and cause some havoc. So here I get a Event Horizon, and I managed to get a basic attack after my Dark Matter and Event Horizon, and I get another kill. So we're already off to an insane start. And keep in mind, this was the very next game after that match you just watched. The very next game. But I had to endure the fact that game existed to try to think over the mistakes I made and try to think over what my next game plan was going to be before that happened. See, sometimes you have to go through the mistakes and you have to go through the losing and the toxicity and the terror in order to reach your desired objective. And if you're asking whether that was true of the Graves match, it was. I lost so many times getting to even be half decent at Graves, and even then I only did like moderate to mediocre matches. It took even longer for me to get to the point where I actually really popped off, and I didn't even think I was going to pop off that hard. I did not have an idea that I was going to pop off as hard as I did on Graves that match. So here we get them to pop heal, and I try to get some CS here. I pop some potions. Aatrox is going in. Warwick gets the kill onto... he gets the kill. I try to flash to protect Aatrox and get the last shot on him. Unfortunately, he aims those shots correctly. So I had some error there, but I wanted to save. Okay, here he goes under tower. He makes a mistake, and I capitalize on it with my Dark Matter and Baleful Strike as he walks under tower. So he made a really big mistake because I was just going to put my event horizon there. He overestimated the damage he did compared to what I did. So I get another kill on the board. And so now I'm definitely stronger than him. Like, he should have just waited and not greeded. See, greed is another way. I did a lot of greeding, as you saw in that other match, and you can see kind of where my greed led, as well as I just got caught way too many times and everyone was doing really badly. But remember, this stuff will happen to you, all right? Most likely it will happen to you. Unless you are free of that, then good on you. But for most regular, ordinary players, it will happen to them. But just because it happens to them doesn't mean that you can't achieve spectacular results. Because this was the match directly afterwards, and now we aced them. Now they are on the receiving end of it. They are on the receiving end of the snowball train. See, and now we destroy the first turret, not them. See, you can turn it around. You can play it correctly. You can win, even after these nasty losses. The key is not necessarily to avoid these nasty losses. You can try all you want, but they will happen. The key is to try to, every time one of those losses happen, ask yourself, ask yourself later on, what can I do in the future to prevent this? And also to try to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you make. But remember, there is always the chance that that will happen to you. There's always the chance, like, no one is free of mistakes. Some make very little mistakes. Some make a lot of mistakes. I actually make a lot of mistakes. I haven't shown all of them. I should show more of the mistakes. But there will always be mental misjudgments and problems whenever you play this game. It's always going to be there. So now I'm on a killing spree. I get to pick on the Teemo. So I'm making the right judgment calls this time. I'm catching them out, I'm finding them low on health. And I'm still of course reeling in this match because I'm still mentally reeling from going 1-6 that other match. I mean, you see, one of the biggest problems about having horrible losses is they kind of stick with you. And when they stick with you, it can kind of affect your mental attitude the next game, and then you start making even more mistakes and start losing again. And that's kind of also where loss streaks come in. And also it can happen when you get a series of teammates that are just, demoralized or not playing well. There's that too. You can have that, and I have had it. So remember this truth, okay? I will be posting more about this, but always remember, you will have to lose and do badly in this game and in general in the world. But remember, you can always win. You can try to come back, and you can try to learn from what each and every time you lose. Try to get something out of it. I mean, I got a lot out of it. I got a fair amount out of it, and I tried to avoid making the same mistakes. One of the worst things that can happen, though, is when you make the same mistakes over and over again. And you have to try to grind it out until you can identify and try to avoid repeating the mistake enough times that you can be consistent and pop off and do the right stuff. It's another reason why you want to try to do a couple champions a good number of times so you can identify what you're doing wrong. It's not just with Veigar. Doing bad plays can happen with other champions. Like, I've gotten destroyed on a number of different ones. LeBlanc, Jax, all sorts of different champions. So I need to show these. Managed to, land my good primordial burst there. I get a double kill. This and yeah, I'm really popping off. I have a D shield. I'm on fire. I think I end this match 10-0. Not even joking. So, get this turret. Legendary. And yeah, we're going to continue to... They're going to chase. The problem with chasing a Veigar is if he is fed like this, like I am now, he will do a lot of damage. Like the difference of damage between a fed Veigar and a one that's behind, the damage difference is immense. So that's something you also need to keep in mind. I have been playing the Extraction Odyssey game mode, which is the new game mode that's come out. And it's reasonably fun. However, the intro difficulty is deceptive, and so then it discourages people from playing it for a bit, despite the fact the game mode does get ridiculously hard. So then they just want to play norms instead of Extraction game mode. The boss of the Extraction game mode is Kayn. It's a really, really huge Kayn, like the champion Kayn. I'm not even joking. Here, I managed to get a huge amount of damage. I get a one-shot combo off there. I get a Dark Matter and a Primordial Burst that gets just one shot, gone. Do you see how big that ultimate was? And keep in mind, this was the exact match after that catastrophe that you were watching, that horrible catastrophe. Yeah. Keep in mind, this is the horrible truth that everyone needs to see about that. And now, see, I'm legendary. I'm legendary in this game. And see, I just land my Dark Matter. See how much damage I do now? And we get some, yeah, I'm legendary. And I get to take on the great turret, I mean the great Nexus, and end the game. I will show more stuff, but this is 2 matches side by side of Veigar and Nexus Blitz. I hope you enjoyed it to some extent. I know it's very bitter trying to show you losing and all this, but it's important to know, I feel. It's important.